Hey guys, tonight we are traveling to a small, snowbound village nestled deep in the heart of the Bavarian Alps. We're going back to the 19th century, to a place that smells of pine wood and beeswax, and where the only sounds are the gentle whisper of a carving knife and the soft crackle of a fire. We are going to spend a day inside a traditional toy workshop, a place where simple blocks of wood are transformed into magical, silent friends. Are you ready in your warm bed? I hope you're all snuggled in and feeling peaceful. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's always so wonderful to see where you all are listening from. So feel free to leave your city or country and the local time in the comments. It makes our quiet little community feel connected across the globe. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You awaken to a world of profound and gentle silence, the kind of deep, muffled quiet that only comes from a thick, fresh blanket of snow having fallen in the night. You are Stefan, an apprentice, and your bed is a simple cot in the corner of the workshop itself. The first thing you see when you open your eyes is your own breath, a pale, ghostly plume in the cold morning air. The first thing you smell is the clean, sharp, resinous scent of pine wood, which permeates everything in this room, including your dreams. The workshop is still dark, save for the pale, blue-gray light that filters in through the two large windows, their panes frosted with intricate, feathery patterns of ice. In this dim light, the room is a landscape of gentle, sleeping shapes. There are the two sturdy wooden workbenches, the long, thin lathes for turning wood, and all around the room, on shelves, are the silent waiting forms of half-finished toys. It is a room full of potential, a room full of stories waiting to be told. You slip out from under your thick woolen blankets, your bare feet meeting the cold wooden floorboards, which are covered in a soft, springy layer of yesterday's sawdust and wood shavings. You dress quickly and quietly in your warm, woolen clothes. Across the room, the master toy maker, Herr Alwyn, is already awake. He is a quiet, elderly man with kind, tired eyes and large, gnarled hands that seem, at first glance, too clumsy for the delicate work they produce. He sits at his own workbench, not yet working, but simply holding a small, half-carved wooden bird, feeling its weight and balance in his palm. Your first tasks of the day are always the same, a quiet and meditative ritual that marks the beginning of your workday. First, you go to the great green-tiled iron stove, the kakelofen, that stands in the center of the room. You open its small iron door, and using the embers from last night's fire, you add a few pieces of dry kindling. You gently blow on the embers, and a small new flame flickers to life, its warm orange glow pushing back the cold blue shadows of the dawn. Next, you take a soft, wide brush made of horsehair, and you begin to sweep the floor. This is your favorite chore. The sound is a gentle, hypnotic shh as you sweep the delicate, curly wood shavings and the soft, pale sawdust into a neat pile. You are not just cleaning, you are gathering the fragrant remnants of yesterday's creations. The entire workshop is a cottage industry, a tradition born from the long, snowbound winters in these Bavarian valleys. For centuries, the local families have used the abundant wood from the surrounding forests to create these simple, beautiful toys. Their skills passed down from father to son, from mother to daughter. When the sweeping is done, you stand and look around the quiet, orderly room. The shelves are filled with the silent population of your small, wooden world. There are rows of unpainted soldiers waiting for their bright red coats. There are sets of nesting farm animals, a cow with the calf that fits inside her, a sheep with a tiny lamb, and there are dozens of the little jointed wooden figures known as tattermanner, their limbs attached with simple wooden pegs, allowing them to be posed in comical, lifelike positions. It is a traditional folk toy, a simple wooden man that a child can bring to life with their own imagination. Many of the toys on these shelves are unpainted, their surfaces left as plain, sanded wood. Art historians and child psychologists of the future will debate the origins of this classic, unpainted wooden toy aesthetic. Was it a simple economic choice because colored paints were expensive and difficult to make? Or was it a deliberate philosophical choice, a belief that the simple, natural form of the wood better stimulated a child's imagination, allowing them to project their own colors, their own stories, onto the toy? Looking at the beautiful pale grain of the linden wood soldiers, you believe it is the latter. Their beauty is in their simplicity. Herr Alwyn finally moves. He has finished his silent contemplation of the bird. He goes to his sharpening stone and begins to hone the blade of his favorite whittling knife. The sound is another layer in the morning's gentle symphony, a soft, rhythmic, scraping sound as the steel whispers against the wet stone. It is a sound of preparation, of a master making his tools ready for a day of perfect work. He works in silence for a long time, and you wait patiently as an apprentice should. When the blade is so sharp it could slice a falling feather, he wipes it clean and looks at you. "The fire is lit, Stefan," he says, his voice a low, gentle rumble. "The shop is clean. The day is ready for us." He walks over to your workbench. On it sits a small, clean, rectangular block of pale linden wood, which he placed there for you last night. He picks it up, turns it over in his hands, then places it back down in front of you. "You have mastered the rabbit," he says. "Your soldiers stand tall and straight. But today is a more difficult lesson." He pauses, letting his words sink in. "Today, you will learn to carve the deer. It is a creature of grace and of very thin legs. It requires a different kind of patience." A thrill of nervous excitement runs through you. The deer is one of the most difficult figures to carve. Its slender legs and delicate antlers can snap with a single clumsy cut. To be given this task is a sign of the master's growing trust in your skill. You look at the simple, silent block of wood on your bench. It gives no hint of the graceful creature that is sleeping inside it. But you know that with the guidance of your master, and with a slow hand and a quiet mind, you will spend the day trying to coax it out. The deep, snowy silence of the Bavarian morning settles over the workshop, and you pick up your own carving knife, its blade now ready to make the first gentle, whispering cut. You pick up your favorite whittling knife, its pear wood handle, Worn smooth and dark from the oils of your own hand, you hold it poised over the clean, pale block of linden wood, feeling the familiar mix of excitement and nervous apprehension that comes with starting a new piece. The deer, with its delicate, slender legs and intricate antlers, is a true test of skill, a significant step up from the round, forgiving shapes of the rabbits and snowmen you have mastered. You take a breath, about to make the first cut. "Wait," a quiet voice says from across the room. You look up. Herr Alwyn has put down his own work and is walking slowly towards your bench. He does not look stern, but his face is serious. "You are thinking about the deer, Stefan," he says, his voice a low rumble. "That is the last thing you should be thinking about. First, you must think only of the knife and of your hands. Show me your grip." You hold up the knife, showing him the way you naturally hold it. He shakes his head slowly. "That is a grip for whittling a stick for the fire," he says, not unkindly. "It is not a grip for bringing a creature to life. A carver must have many grips. Each one is a different word in the language of the knife. You must learn the grammar before you can write the poetry. This is how the master teaches." Educational theorists and historians of craft of the future will debate the effectiveness of the traditional master-apprentice model versus modern, classroom-based instruction. But you are living it. It is a slow, personal, and deeply immersive way of learning, a transfer of knowledge that happens not through books, but through hands-on guidance, quiet observation, and a deep shared respect for the craft. He stands beside you, and your lesson for the morning begins. He takes your hand in his own large, gnarled one, and repositions your fingers on the handle of the knife. "First," he says, "the push cut, the strongest cut." He shows you how to brace the wooden block against your body, how to hold the knife with your knuckles up, your thumb pressed against the spine of the blade. "The power does not come from your wrist," he explains. "It comes from your shoulder, from your whole body. The knife is just the tip of the spear." He guides your hand as you make a long, shaving cut away from your body. A thick, satisfying curl of pale linden wood peels away from the block. Next, he teaches you the pull cut or the paring cut for more delicate shaping. This is a grip of immense control. He shows you how to hold the wood in one hand and the knife in the other, and how to use the thumb of your wood hand as a brace and a pivot point for the back of the knife blade. "Your thumb becomes the brain of the cut," he says. "It feels the pressure, it guides the blade." You practice this, making small, concave cuts, feeling the way your thumb can control the depth and angle of the blade with an incredible precision. This is the secret language of the master craftsman. It is Fingerspitzengefühl. Fingertip feeling. It is an intuition, a deep nonverbal understanding that flows between the hand, the tool, and the material. It is what Herr Alwyn is trying to teach you, a sensitivity that cannot be described in words, only felt through practice. He shows you how to read the grain of the wood, to always cut with it or across it, but never against it, which would cause the wood to tear and splinter. He teaches you that the techniques you are learning are not just his own personal preferences. They are the prescribed methods of the wood carvers' guild, the Zunft, passed down through generations of masters to ensure that the quality and integrity of the craft are upheld. To be a master one day, you must first master these fundamentals. You spend the next hour not carving a deer, but simply making practice cuts on a scrap piece of wood. The workshop is filled with the soft, repetitive, and deeply peaceful sound of your blade whispering through the linden wood. Shf, shf, shf. It is a sound of pure, focused learning. Herr Alwyn watches you, offering a quiet correction now and then. Lock your wrist, Stefan. Let the blade do the work. Feel how the wood speaks back to you. You look over at the small wooden box that holds your earlier, imperfect carvings. You realize now that their flaws, a slightly flat curve on a rabbit's back, a tool mark on a soldier's hat, were not just from a lack of skill, but from a lack of this deep, fundamental understanding. You were trying to force the wood into a shape instead of persuading it. Finally, Herr Alwyn nods, a look of quiet satisfaction on his face. Good, he says. Your hands are beginning to listen. Now you may begin the deer. You take up the clean, new block of linden wood once more. But this time, you feel different. You are not just an apprentice with a piece of wood. You are a carver, armed with a new language. You begin to block out the rough shape of the deer's body. Your mind focused not on the finished animal, but on each individual cut. For the long, straight line of the back, you use a steady push cut. For the gentle, curving shape of the belly and the powerful haunches, you switch to the more delicate, controlled pull cut. The work is slow, and your progress is measured in millimeters, in tiny, fragrant shavings of wood that fall to the bench around you. But slowly, steadily, a shape begins to emerge. It is not yet a deer, but it is the promise of a deer. A blocky, four-legged form with the rough shape of a body and a neck, the delicate legs, the graceful head, the magnificent antlers. All these challenges still lie ahead, trapped within the wood, waiting for an even greater skill. But you have made a successful start. The foundation is strong. You have applied your new learning, and the wood has responded. You have not fought with it. You have danced with it. You look at the rough, emerging shape, and you feel a new sense of confidence. You are no longer just copying a form. You are beginning to understand the quiet, secret conversation between the craftsman's hand, the sharp steel of the knife, and the willing spirit of the wood. And in the deep, peaceful, snow-muffled quiet of the Bavarian workshop, that is a wonderful lesson to be learning. The days that follow are a quiet immersion into the art of bringing the deer to life. You continue your patient work, your small apprentice's bench, slowly becoming covered in a drift of pale, curly linden wood shavings. You have moved beyond the rough, blocky shape of the animal and are now beginning the slow, delicate process of defining its graceful form. You work on the gentle curve of its back, the powerful shape of its haunches, and the elegant, slender column of its neck. Each cut is a decision. Each shaving that falls to the floor is a piece of the wood that is not the deer, bringing the true form closer to the surface. While you are absorbed in this slow, painstaking work, Herr Alwyn the master begins a small project of his own. He does not take a piece from the linden log you brought back from the forest. Instead, he goes to a small, special wooden chest that he keeps under his main workbench. He opens it, and a new, wonderful, and entirely different scent begins to fill the workshop. It is not the faint, sweet, almost vanilla-like perfume of the linden wood. This is a rich, warm, and deeply comforting scent. It is a resinous, woody, and slightly sweet pine aroma, but with a complexity and warmth you have never smelled before. It is the kind of scent that seems to calm the very air in the room, a scent that makes you want to take a deep, slow breath. You pause your carving and look up, your senses captivated. "Ah," Herr Alwyn says, noticing your distraction. He smiles his slow, gentle smile. "You have met the Queen of the Alps." He holds up the small block of wood he has taken from the chest. The wood itself is beautiful, with a reddish-brown hue and distinctive dark knots, but it is the scent that is truly magical. "This, Stefan," he explains, "is Zirbelkiefer. In your language, the stone pine. It grows only very high up, near the tops of the mountains, where the air is thin and the wind is strong. It is a very special tree." He explains that while linden wood is the perfect medium for fine, sharp, and delicate carving, the stone pine has a different purpose. Its wood is soft and easy to carve, yes, but its greatest gift is its scent. "The old ones say that the Zirbelkiefer has a calming spirit," he says, running his thumb over the surface of the wood. "They have known for centuries that its scent brings peaceful sleep and a quiet heart. That is why the finest bedrooms, the ones in the great farmhouses, are paneled with this wood. It is why the most precious cradles for new babies are carved from it." He holds the block of wood out to you. "Breathe," he says. You lean forward and inhale. The scent is incredible. It is clean, woody, and deeply relaxing. It seems to quiet the busy parts of your mind, to soothe a place deep inside you that you didn't even know was unsettled. They say it even makes the heart beat slower, more steadily, Herr Alwyn murmurs. The scientists in the big cities are only now beginning to study these things, and I have heard that their new machines are proving the old wisdom to be true. He chuckles softly. It has taken them a long time to learn what any woodsman in these mountains could have told them. Indeed, modern scientific studies would one day explore these very claims, finding evidence that the scent of stone pine wood can have a measurable calming effect on the human nervous system, a vindication of centuries of folk wisdom. Herr Alwyn explains that every part of the tree is a gift, even its cones. "Oh," he says, and he gets up and goes to a high shelf. He takes down a small glass bottle filled with a beautiful ruby-red liquid. He uncorks it and lets you smell. The scent is a magnificent combination of the resinous pine and a sweet, alcoholic spirit. "Zerbenschnaps," he says with a wink, "made from the seeds of the pine cones steeped in schnapps. A medicine for a cold night, or for a heavy heart." He returns to his bench and begins to carve his own small block of the magical wood. He is not carving a deer or a soldier. He is carving something much simpler, a small, smooth, rounded heart, an object designed to be held in the palm of the hand. It is a worry stone, a small comfort object, its purpose not to be looked at, but to be held, its calming scent, a quiet, constant reassurance. This lesson gives you a new, deeper understanding of your craft. You realize that a master toy maker is not just a carver, he is an expert in the language of the trees. He knows that each wood has its own personality, its own story, its own gift. Linden for beauty, oak for strength, and the precious stone pine, for comfort and for peace. You turn back to your own work, to the linden wood deer taking shape under your hands. You understand now why its scent is so subtle. It is a quiet, neutral wood. It does not impose its own character. It is a blank canvas, ready to receive the imagination of the child who will one day hold it. Its story will not be one of a calming scent, but of the great adventures it will have in a child's playroom. You continue your patient work, your knife whispering through the wood. The workshop is now filled with a beautiful, layered perfume, the sweet, subtle scent of your linden wood shavings, and the rich, warm, calming aroma of Herr Alwyn's stone pine. The two scents mingle in the air, a perfect harmony of art and comfort. You feel a deep sense of peace settle over you. The world outside, with its deep snow and its silence, feels a million miles away. Your whole universe is this warm, fragrant, peaceful room, and the slow, satisfying, and magical process of bringing a small, graceful creature to life from a simple block of wood. The world outside your workshop remains a silent, white expanse of snow, but inside, under your patient hands, the deer continues its slow journey into being. After you have perfected the gentle, curving form of the body and neck, you turn your attention to the most difficult and frightening part of the carving, the legs. They must be impossibly slender, yet strong enough to support the body. One wrong move, one moment of impatience, and a leg will snap, ruining hours of work. You follow the master's teachings, you use your finest, sharpest knife, and you do not cut, but you shave, removing the wood in paper-thin layers. You work with the grain, always with the grain, feeling its direction, its strength. The linden wood is forgiving, but you know its limits. You hold your breath with every delicate slice. Slowly, painstakingly, 4 graceful, slender legs emerge from the block, as if the deer is slowly wading out of a solid wooden sea. Finally, you carve the small, delicate antlers, the crowning glory of the piece. When the last shaving of wood falls to your workbench, you are done. You hold the deer in your hand. It is a perfect, pale, unpainted wooden form, smooth and beautiful. It is a triumph of your growing skill to have brought the shape out of the wood without breaking it. You feel a deep, quiet surge of pride. Just as you are admiring your work, the door from the main house opens, and a new presence enters the quiet, masculine world of the workshop. It is Katerina, Herr Alwyn's daughter. She is a young woman, as quiet and as focused as her father, but where his energy is in the form and structure of the wood, hers is in its color and life. She is the painter, the one who gives the toys their final personality. She gives you and her father a soft, shy smile and sets up her own small workspace at a clean table near the window, where the light is best. Her tools are different from yours and your father's, She does not have knives and saws. She has a small, smooth stone slab for grinding her paints, a collection of tiny earthenware pots, and a beautiful, floral painted box that holds her brushes. The paints she uses are not the pre-made paints of the future. They are her own creations, a part of the family's craft. She takes out small, stone-like lumps of pigment ochre for yellow, umber for brown, iron oxide for a soft red, and she grinds them into a fine powder on her stone slab. She then mixes the powder with her binder, a simple, creamy solution of egg yolk and water, creating a rich, opaque paint known as tempera. It is the same kind of paint used by the great artists who painted the altarpieces in the village church. Your father inspects your finished carving of the deer, turning it over in his hands, his thumb feeling the smooth, flowing lines. He nods, a rare look of deep approval in his eyes. "The form is true, Stefan," he says. "It has grace. Now it needs life." He hands the smooth, pale wooden deer to his daughter. The carving is done. The painting begins. The work is a quiet collaboration. Katerina gives you a larger brush and a small pot of the warm, earthy brown paint she has mixed. Your job is to apply the base coat. You carefully paint the deer's body, its head, its legs. The pale linden wood drinks in the color, transforming from a creamy white to a rich, handsome brown. While you work on the body, Katerina works on the smaller details. She uses a finer brush to paint the deer's chest and the underside of its tail, a soft, creamy white. She paints its small hooves and the tip of its nose a delicate, glossy black. And then comes the most important, most magical moment of all. It is time to paint the eyes. Katerina puts down her brush and opens a special protected compartment in her paint box. From it, she takes a single, incredible tool. It is a brush so small, so fine, that it looks as if it is made from a single hair. It is her finest brush, a tool her own mother used before her, made from the very tip of a sable's tail, a brush reserved only for the most delicate and life-giving of tasks. She mixes a tiny amount of black paint until it is perfectly smooth. She takes the deer from you. She holds it steady. She dips the very tip of the single-haired brush into the black paint. She holds her own breath, her concentration absolute, and then, with a single, perfect, tiny touch, she paints a small, dark, liquid circle on the side of the deer's carved head. It is a moment of pure alchemy. A moment ago, you were holding a beautifully carved piece of wood. Now, in an instant, it is a creature. It has an eye. It can see. Developmental psychologists of the future will debate at what precise point a child begins to perceive a simple object as a being with lifelike qualities. But you, in this moment, know the answer. It is now, it is the moment the eye is painted. Katerina then takes an even smaller amount of white paint on the very tip of another fine brush. She leans in close, and with an incredibly steady hand, she applies a single minuscule dot of white to the upper edge of the black circle. It is the spark, the reflection of light, the glint of life. And with that tiny white dot, the transformation is complete. The wooden deer is no longer just looking. It is looking at you. It has a gaze. It has a personality. It has a soul. You stare at it, completely captivated. It is a small, quiet miracle, performed with 3 hairs on the end of a stick and a single dot of white paint. Katerina paints the other eye to match perfectly, and then she adds the final, finishing touches, the delicate shading that gives the form its depth. When she is done, she places the finished deer on the workbench to dry. The 3 of you stand back and admire it. It is a product of all your work, your father's teachings, your patient carving. Katerina's artistic, life-giving touch. It is a true creation of your small workshop family. You look at the deer standing proudly on the bench, and you feel a profound sense of wonder. You think of the journey this small object has taken from a living tree in the deep forest to a rough log in your workshop, to a block of wood in your hands, and now finally to this, a beautiful, silent, wooden friend, its bright, intelligent eyes seeming to take in the quiet, peaceful world of the workshop, waiting patiently for the next stage of its journey. In the days that follow, the small, beautifully painted deer you helped to create is joined by others. Under the master's guidance, you carve 2 more, your hands growing more confident and sure with each one. Katerina paints them with the same delicate, life-giving touch. Soon, a small, silent herd of wooden deer stands on a shelf, their bright, intelligent eyes seeming to watch the quiet proceedings of the workshop. They are joined by a new company of wooden soldiers, their red coats a brilliant splash of color, and a set of nesting farm animals, their simple, rounded shapes a pleasure to hold. The workshop is full of finished work, a testament to a week of focused, peaceful labor. There is a new feeling in the air now. It is a quiet, nervous anticipation. You have finished your work as artists. Now you must await the judgment of the man of commerce. You are waiting for the arrival of Herr Ziegler, the toy peddler. He is a figure of immense importance in your small world. In the cottage industry of the Bavarian mountains, a family like yours might be masters of their craft, but you are isolated, snowbound for much of the year. The Verleger, the traveling peddler or wholesaler, is your only link to the great markets in the cities beyond the mountains. He is the one who carries your creations out into the wider world. You hear the sound of his approach before you see him. The cheerful, rhythmic jingle of sleigh bells, a crisp, festive sound in the cold winter air. You and Herr Alwyn put down your tools and go to the workshop door. A small, horse-drawn sleigh, its runners whispering over the snow, pulls up outside. Driving the sleigh is a large, stern-looking man, bundled in a greatcoat of dark fur, a thick mustache dusted with ice. This is Herr Ziegler. He enters the workshop, bringing a blast of cold, clean air with him. He is not an unkind man, but he is a man of business, and his expression is always serious. Your mother comes in from the house and offers him a small glass of the ruby-red Zirben schnapps, the stone pine liqueur. To warm him from his journey, he accepts it with a curt nod and downs it in one gulp, a faint look of appreciation momentarily softening his stern features. Then the ritual begins. He places a large, heavy leather case, his muster coffer or sample case, on the main workbench and opens it. Inside, nestled in velvet-lined compartments, are the master toys, the perfect examples against which all others are judged. There is a soldier with a perfectly painted uniform, a flawlessly carved horse, a wooden doll with an exquisitely rendered face. These are the standards of quality he demands. Now for the inspection. This is the most nerve-wracking part of the process. Your father begins to lay out your family's finished work on the bench. Herr Ziegler picks up each piece, one by one. He is silent as he works. He holds a soldier up to the light, checking for any flaw in the paint. He runs a thumb over the wood of a nesting cow, feeling for any roughness in the sanding. He tests the joints of a tatterman, ensuring its movements are smooth and free. His expert eye misses nothing. The silence in the workshop is absolute, broken only by the soft crackle of the fire in the stove. Some pieces he inspects and places back on the bench with a slight, almost imperceptible shake of his head. These have not passed the test. They will remain here, perhaps to be sold to a local villager, the majority, however. He places carefully to one side, the side of the chosen. Finally, he comes to your deer. He picks up the very first one you carved, the one that holds so much of your hope and effort. He holds it in his large, gloved hand. He turns it over and over. He inspects the delicate, carved antlers. He looks closely at the slender legs, testing their strength. He holds it up and looks directly into the small, bright, painted eyes that Katerina gave it. You hold your breath. Your heart is thumping in your chest. This is your first true masterpiece, and it is now facing the judgment of the world. After a long, silent moment that seems to stretch on for an eternity, he gives a single, sharp, satisfied nod. Yes. He places your deer carefully with the other chosen toys. A wave of relief and quiet, profound pride washes over you. You have passed the test. When the inspection is complete, the business begins. Your father and Herr Ziegler engage in a quiet, serious negotiation. They discuss the price for each set of toys. Economic historians of the future will debate the power dynamics in these relationships. Whether the Verleger was a benevolent partner or an exploitative middleman. The truth, you know, is somewhere in between. Herr Ziegler is a hard negotiator. He must be to make his own living. But your father is a master craftsman who knows the value of his own work. The negotiation is a respectful but firm dance, a tradition as old as the trade itself. A price is finally agreed upon, and Herr Ziegler pays your father in solid, heavy coins, which are carefully placed in a locked wooden box. Now, the peddler begins to pack his sleigh. He has large wooden chests lined with soft straw, and he carefully packs each of the toys he has purchased, ensuring they will be safe on the long, bumpy journey ahead. As he packs your deer, he holds it up one last time. The children in Nuremberg will love this, he says, his stern face breaking into a rare, brief smile. They have never seen a deer with such a clever look in its eye. It is good work. He is packing for the great Christmas markets, the Christkindls marked, in the big cities. You try to imagine it. A great, bustling square, filled with lights and music and the smell of roasting nuts and gingerbread. You imagine a child, their face full of wonder, seeing your deer for the first time, choosing it, taking it home. The thought fills you with a deep, quiet joy. Your work, born here in this silent, snowy mountain workshop, will soon become a part of a child's own story, a character in their own private world of imagination. When the last toy is packed away, Herr Ziegler prepares to leave. He thanks your mother for the schnapps, shakes your father's hand, and gives you a final approving nod. He climbs onto his sleigh, and with the jingle of bells and a call to his horse, he is off, disappearing down the snowy track, leaving a trail of clean, straight lines in the fresh snow. You stand at the door of the workshop, watching until the sleigh is just a small, dark speck in the distance. The shelves in the workshop, which were full this morning, now have many empty spaces. A part of your world has just left, heading out on a great adventure. The workshop feels larger now and quieter. The commercial part of your craft is over. You turn and go back inside, back to the comforting warmth of the stove and the familiar, beautiful scent of wood and paint. You look at your small apprentice's workbench. It is clean and tidy, waiting for you. And on it, your father has placed a new, clean block of pale linden wood. The cycle begins again. Herr Ziegler's sleigh bells fade into the vast snowy silence, leaving the world outside your workshop feeling quieter than before. The departure of the toys, the tangible results of weeks of your family's labor, has left a series of conspicuous empty spaces on the shelves, spaces that are waiting to be filled. The cycle of your craft must begin again. You turn from the door and walk back to your apprentice's bench. There, the clean, pale block of linden wood that your master placed for you sits waiting. You pick up your whittling knife, its blade still perfectly sharp from the morning's honing. You feel the familiar, comfortable weight of the handle in your palm. You look at the block of wood, and in your mind's eye, you can already see the graceful, sleeping form of the next deer waiting within. You make the first, soft, whispering cut. You work for another hour as the last of the afternoon light streams through the windows, illuminating the fine, curly shavings of wood as they fall from your blade. Herr Alwyn works at his own bench, not on a new toy, but on repairing the handle of a well-used tool. The only sounds in the workshop are the gentle, rhythmic scrape of your knife against the wood and the soft whisk of your master's sanding block. It is a peaceful, productive, and deeply contented silence. As the sun finally dips below the snow-covered peaks of the mountains, casting the valley in a soft blue-gray twilight, your father puts down his tool. "Enough, Stefan," he says gently. "The light is gone. The day's work is done." The evening ritual of putting the workshop to bed begins. It is a process as quiet and as important as waking it up in the morning. You take your soft horsehair brush and sweep the floor one last time, gathering the day's new shavings into a fragrant pile. Your father carefully wipes each of his tools with an oily rag to prevent rust and places them back in his large wooden tool chest. You do the same, rolling your precious carving knives into their soft leather sleeve. The workbenches are cleared. The workshop is made clean and orderly, ready for the morning. Before leaving, you stand for a moment and look around the quiet, tidy room. Your gaze falls upon the shelves with their remaining population of silent wooden toys. There are the soldiers that Herr Ziegler rejected for having a slightly imperfect coat of paint. There is a small carved rabbit with one ear that is a fraction of a millimeter shorter than the other. And there are the new pieces you and the master have just begun, their forms still rough and full of potential. They are a silent army of your family's efforts, a shelf of quiet wooden friends. You think of the coming Christmas season, of the Rauhnachte, the 12 holy nights when the veil between worlds is said to be thin. You know that these small, humble figures you create are a part of that season's magic, destined to become the good and gentle spirits in a child's home. Your father closes the heavy wooden door that separates the workshop from the small cottage where your family lives, and you step from the world of work into the world of home. The air changes immediately. It no longer smells of sawdust and oil, but of your mother's cooking. A thick, savory soup of barley and root vegetables, simmering on the great iron stove. The small living space is filled with the warm, golden glow of a single oil lamp on the table. It is a haven of warmth and comfort against the cold, dark winter night. The three of you sit down to your evening meal at the simple wooden table. You eat the hot, nourishing soup and thick slices of dark, crusty bread. The conversation is quiet and gentle. Your father talks about the peddler's journey, about the roads to Nuremberg. Your mother talks about news from the village, about a new baby being born to the blacksmith's wife. After the meal, the evening unfolds in a slow, peaceful rhythm that has been the pattern of life in these mountains for centuries. With no electric light, the world shrinks to the small, warm circle cast by the oil lamp. Your mother takes up her knitting, her needles clicking with a soft, steady rhythm. Your father sits in his armchair by the fire, smoking his long pipe, his hands, for the first time all day, completely still. You sit on a small stool, polishing a piece of scrap wood with a beeswax-soaked cloth, simply for the pleasure of feeling the grain grow smooth and silky under your hands. You feel a deep, bone-deep satisfaction, a profound sense of peace. Psychologists and philosophers of the future will debate the intrinsic value of skilled manual labor on human happiness, questioning whether the act of creating a tangible object with one's own hands provides a fundamental sense of purpose that is often missing from modern life. You do not have the words for these theories, but you feel the truth of it in your very being. Your body is tired from a day of physical work, but your mind is calm, your spirit at peace. You have created something beautiful. You have passed the master's test. You have seen your work chosen to go out into the world. It is a feeling more valuable than any coin. You think of your small, perfect wooden deer, now packed away in a straw-filled chest, beginning its own great adventure, its silent journey towards a child's waiting hands. The thought fills you with a sense of connection, a feeling that your small, quiet life in this remote workshop is a part of a much larger story. Finally, your eyelids grow heavy. Your father knocks out his pipe against the hearthstone, and your mother puts away her knitting. It is time for sleep. You say your good nights, and you make your way back into the dark, silent workshop to your small cot in the corner. You burrow down under your thick, heavy woolen blankets. The fire in the stove has been banked for the night, but it still radiates a gentle, steady warmth. The only light is the pale, silvery moonlight that streams in through the frosted windows, painting beautiful, feathery patterns on the floor. The workshop is silent now, all the ticking hearts of the clocks having been taken away. It is a silence of deep, well-earned rest. You close your eyes, and the last thing you smell is the clean, sweet, and deeply calming scent of pine wood and 1,000 fragrant shavings. The image of the quiet workshop, sleeping under a blanket of moonlight and snow, now begins to soften and fade. The gentle, rhythmic memory of your knife shaving the wood, the soft whisper of the sawdust being swept from the floor, the feeling of deep, quiet satisfaction. Let these sensations become a lullaby, a gentle guide into your own peaceful rest. The day's work is done. The toys are on their journey. The apprentice is safe and warm in his bed. There is a deep, quiet sense that all is right with the world. Allow this profound and simple peace to settle over you now, as you leave the Bavarian workshop behind and drift slowly, so slowly, into the deep, restorative, and magical country of your own sweetest dreams.